Big sister always said that I wasn't in her plans, and I certainly wasn't. When I told her I loved her, she would always say, "You better." She said it every single time. That's because I could love her, but she couldn't love me because that was not in her plans. Her plans involved taking care of the kids and being financially well off, but it was about the kids. Before I came around, there was Sugar Daddy, who was her second husband. It was a marriage of convenience. He was a gay man in his 60s who was very wealthy. He installed pipe organs in churches and had a fondness for choir boys. As a result of certain events, he needed some plausible deniability, along with a very good attorney. And on the advice of attorney, he married Big Sister and provided her with a very nice home, helped her pay the mortgage, cars, and money for the kids. And Nike was not the #1 shoe back then, so I believe it was Reebok shoes. When I came along, Sugar Daddy and Big Sister were divorced, but just recently. And there was plenty of money, but it wouldn't last forever. This is a good time to come along, even though I wasn't in her plans. When the kiss occurred between Big Sister and myself, it was sometime after Christmas and before the New Year. At that point, there was no more little sister on the scene, just myself and Big Sister. But Big Sister put some pretty serious restrictive guidelines on the plan, her plan. And it had to do with the fact that she had enough money for a while. She said, "This won't last. It ends at the end of summer," which gave us some time. Well, it didn't end at the end of summer. It actually went on for another 7 years. But I was only living there until the end of summer. After which I got an apartment, which I had with a roommate, which was near school, about 25 minutes away from where Big Sister lived, her home. She was very ambivalent about seeing me, and yet she called me. And sometimes I called her, and we would get together on a semi-regular basis. So one day, she gives me a call. It's, I don't know, afternoon, sometime around 4 o'clock. And she says, "Why don't you come over?" That means, "Why don't you come over and spend the night?" And I said, "Sure," because I could work that. Now, I wasn't living there anymore, so I didn't have my stuff there anymore, so I had to grab a bunch of stuff and head out there. It took about 25 minutes. When I got there, she opens the door and says, "What are you doing here?" And I laugh. I said, you said to come over. You called me." "No, I didn't," she said. And I laughed, hoping that she would come around. But she was firm. "No, I didn't." Now, she knew very well that she did. But she was very ambivalent because I wasn't part of her plans. And she was going to have to find another sugar daddy, which she eventually did. But I was very, very upset at her. I had driven all this way with some expectations, I may add, and now she was denying that she had even called me and asked me over. And there was no little wink or glisten in her eye saying, "Haha, this is a joke." And I told her, I said, "Big Sister, I am furious at you." Now, I was used to this kind of shit. It was kind of fun because I was a kid and I was just madly in love with her. But this time around, I was very pissed, and she said to me, "What do you want to do about it?" Now this is where she's kind of calling me out and saying, you know, you can't do shit. And I said, I want to smash an egg on your head. And I said it just like that. It came to mind. And she said to the 7-year-old, bring the eggs. And that's what he did. He got the eggs and brought them there. And she's basically calling my, what she thinks is like a bluff, because she just knows I'm not going to do it. So she says, here's the eggs, go ahead. Well, I took the egg and I smashed it on her head and it rolled down her face and she didn't move. Didn't respond, just looked at me. And what happened next is, the 7-year-old said, what have you done to my mom? Really loud. And the other 2 kids came along. And what happened is there were these eggs. And I immediately realized the problem. And I started running for my car, which was in the front yard. The eggs started to fly just as I got to the door of my car. Now, I hop in my car and I start pulling out. No eggs on me, but my car got plastered. I don't know how many eggs there were there. I guess there was probably 10. I think 1 egg was used or something like that. 10 or 11 eggs, and I got 5 of them on my car as I was racing out. I drove to the nearest convenience store. There were no cell phones back then. And I gave Big Sister a call up. And the first thing she said is, come back. And she was laughing. And she said, and I'll have the kids wash your car. And that's what happened. And I stayed the night. And everything was good.